Microplastics. So the individuals here are people who are diagnosed with IBD, irritable bowel disease, and another set of individuals who are healthy adults and otherwise similar to the patients with IBD in terms of their age and gender distribution. What is recorded for each individual is the concentration of microplastic in fecal matter in number of items per gram of dry weight. That's a quantitative variable. And you'll notice here that this is recorded in the same way for everybody. So we don't have any sets of conditions imposed with some form of randomness to see how they might influence that variable. So this is not an experiment, it's an observational design. Specifically an observational design with some cases and some controls that are selected separately to have this one different condition. So this is a case-controlled observational study. So we have access to the data and we can use Crunchit to, first of all, plot the distribution of microplastic concentration. And we want to do that separately and side by side for the individuals with and the individuals without IBD. On Crunchit, import our file. And in the graphics selection, we're going to choose box plot. If we only select the columns option, we'll have the overall distribution of microplastics. What we want is a graph that compares the two distributions. So we're going to go to the grouped tab. The data is our main variable, microplastic concentration, and we want it grouped by the IBD status. Crunchit does not label its box plots. So it's important to always have a graph that is informative. You'll want to add that, for instance, here in the Y label, microplastic concentration, make sure you include the units, so items per gram. And that gives us the box plot. So in terms of similarities, we notice that the two distributions overlap greatly. And in fact, the entire distribution of microplastic concentrations for the healthy individuals is contained within the range of values for the individuals with IBD and with a range that is very similar. We notice that also the inside box, the interquartile range for the two distributions overlap quite substantially. In terms of variability, there is not a major difference between the two groups other than we can see the range is a little bit larger for the IBD group than for the healthy group. And for the most obvious difference, we notice immediately that the values for the patients with IBD tend to be overall higher than the values for the healthy patients. And this is most noticeable by the fact that the entire box of the box plot is shifted higher in the IBD group, such that the first quartile is higher in the IBD group than in the healthy group. Same thing for the median, same thing for the third quartile. In fact, we can obtain the summary statistics by going to Statistics, Descriptive statistics. And again, we'd like to have that information separately for the two groups, so we can use the group tab. The average is higher for the IBD group than it is for the healthy groups, roughly 42 versus 28 items per gram. So what else can we say about the data that would be interesting? Well, we might want to know what was the highest microplastic concentration recorded for the entire study, regardless of group. And the summary statistics show that value is 116.5 items per gram. You can also see that on the graph, the largest value is for the IBD group, and you can see that it is just shy of the 120 mark. Then we are also asked, 3/4 of patients with IBD had fecal microplastic concentrations of at least some amount. So what are we looking for here? So we're looking for a range of values that represents 3/4 of the participants in each group. We want specifically the 3/4 that have values at least equal to something. So that means equal to something or larger. That means that we're looking for the 3/4 of patients in each group that have the highest values, which means that what we're looking for here is going to be the value of the first quartile, because the first quartile splits the distribution between the 25% of individuals with the smallest values and the 75% in that group with the highest values. So you can see from the graph that the value of the first quartile is roughly around 15 for the healthy individuals and maybe around 25 for the patients with IBD. From the summary statistics, we see that those values are 24.6 and 15.3 items per gram for the patients with IBD versus the healthy patients, respectively.